The other has to do with the Natural Historic District, and there was a reference to a previous action with the Natural History Museum. And if I understand from the boundaries that were shown by the project proponent, the Natural History Museum is within the Historic District?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So the projects that was referenced by, I believe, Mr. Buckley, the expansion of that, that did occur. Was there discussions at that time of that decision threatening the Historic District? And what was the outcome of that?
Not that I'm aware of. There was a determination that that project was not consistent with the standards, and it had to be approved as a deviation, but I'm not aware of discussion of that project threatening the listing.
So that building, that structure is still a part of the Historic District, and
Yes,
the addition did not somehow exclude it from the district?
It did not exclude it.
Okay.
That's correct.
I understand there may be different opinions about the ultimate outcome of that project, but I think it's a context, a historical context we should understand with respect to the broader district, and there have been some changes within the district.
Yes, there have been some changes within the district.
Are there any others that we should be aware of in the action that we're considering today with respect to a recommendation for another change within the district?
I'm not aware of other changes within the district that have been determined to be not consistent with the standards. I've only been doing this job for 7 years, so Ron he outranks me.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Golba.
Wow, that was quick. You caught me off guard. Yeah, I figured as much. A couple items. Cathy, want to discuss the historical issues a little bit. First off, simple question is HRB, they voted this project down. Can you shed some light or some detail as far as their discussion, their thought process, what the sticking points for them were as far as leading to their vote?
They discussed some of the particular aspects of the project, the bridge in particular, but in the end, based on the chair's direction and what their role is in the development review process, they had to look at the historical issues only. I think the chair said something like, if we were the parking structure and circulation board, we could look at a variety of different alternatives, but we're the historical resources board, and our function is to look at that very narrowly. And the project goes to them with a complete and final EIR. They don't have an opportunity to pick and choose different components of the project that would not have been appropriate. They didn't feel that they could support the project with conditions, and so they voted to not recommend approval.
So it's safe to say that their real guys or their narrow focuses was only on the Centennial Bridge itself and its impact to the historical, Cabrillo Bridge itself, as opposed to the global project that existed, correct? As far as the parking garage and all the other circulations, that really wasn't part of their review or their vote, correct?
Their focus was entirely related to historical resources and the impact of the project, namely the two aspects of the project that are not consistent with the standards, the Centennial Bridge and Road, and how that affected the district. They didn't look at larger planning issues or circulation issues.
Okay. Can you also touch on us a little bit? We're hearing, I think, conflicting testimony a little bit about the process or what would happen if there was an application, or I guess it's a request or something, to potentially have Balboa Park delisted from the National Register. What exactly is step-by-step that process? Is it something that would happen as this is a proposed project, or would the project have to be completed before an application or request was even put forward?
Based on my reading of the Code of Federal Regulations and speaking to the Deputy Director for the National Historic Landmark Program of the Park Service, 3 times I spoke with her, most recently after your workshop, just to check in again. It's a very lengthy process. It would have to occur after construction of the project. Someone would have to petition. The Secretary of the Interior could instigate it directly. The department could directly instigate it. The SHPO could ask the Park Service to instigate the study, or someone from the public could request that it be investigated. There would have to be an analysis and a study done at the same level as if they were going to designate the property today. And they would look at whether or not the property has lost its historical significance and the reason why it was listed in the first place.
Okay, so then in terms of risk analysis, there's enough information in our staff report to basically city staff does not feel that this project would jeopardize or run that risk if somebody did petition. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And the same then, would the same go through, or I guess on any different level for, let's say, the Lewis plan, which takes a different approach of, if you will, having the lower road versus the upper road? Would anything of the Lewis plan, in your opinion, jeopardize the criteria used for maintaining Balboa Park on the register?
We don't have enough details of that to make that determination, but we do believe that the Lewis plan is not consistent with the standards in a lot of the same ways that the project is, and would actually have greater impacts to the historic district. But I'm not prepared to say whether or not that plan would jeopardize the listing either. It's a very significant step. I looked at the properties that have been removed from the National Register or lost their listing. First of all, there's never been a district that has lost its listing. They're individual properties. Either they've been demolished, they've burned, they've been lost in hurricanes. One, the address was incorrect. And it doesn't happen very often. It did happen to Soldier Field in Chicago. If anyone's seen that, that looks like a spaceship landed in the middle of that, that historic structure. That's an individual structure, not a district. The Balboa Park Historic District is very large. It has lots of components to it. I do not believe that this project would result in an impact to the entire district at a level that would cause it to lose its listing. And when I spoke to the Park Service staff, I said, is this going to happen? And she said, no. But she hasn't done the project's not built and the study hasn't been done.
Right, I understand it's all theoretical at this point, but
Yes,
there's certainly, I mean, we have 5,000 page EIR and about 4,000 pages of staff report here, so I would think that's enough detail